So, if you've ever tried to navigate the U.S. banking system, especially if you're a newcomer or an international student, you know the bureaucracy can feel like, well, a literal impenetrable wall. Between the endless lists of rules, all that confusing financial jargon, and the super strict requirements, you might be sitting there wondering, where do you even begin? But don't worry, today we're breaking it all down. Think of this explainer as your personal cheat sheet. We're going to go through the source material step by step and conquer this whole process together.
Here's our quick roadmap for today. We're going to start with the U.S. banking landscape, look at who is eligible, build your required document checklist, map out the application process, and then finally cover the specific rules for non-U.S. residents.
All right, Section 1, the U.S. banking landscape. Let's start by figuring out the right financial institution to actually hold your money.
Okay, let's dive into this. When you're choosing a bank, you basically have three main tiers. You've got your massive national giants. Think JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citibank, and US Bank. These guys have a footprint absolutely everywhere. Then you have regional banks like PNC Bank, TD Bank, and Truist Bank, which offer a really strong localized presence depending on where you go to school or live. And finally, institutions like Capital One offer kind of this hybrid approach, while Charles Schwab Bank operates entirely online. But here's the absolute key takeaway. No matter which of these tiers you choose, robust online banking is a standard feature across the board. Every single one has it, and that's a huge advantage for managing your money right from your phone in the modern U.S. banking system.
Moving right along to Section 2, who is eligible? Let's figure out the exact prerequisites you need to meet to get the ball rolling.
To get your foot in the door, standard applicants have 5 basic non-negotiables. First, you got to be at least 18 years old, otherwise you'll need to open a joint account with a guardian. You absolutely must have a government-issued photo ID, and you have to provide a valid residential address. Banks actually require that by federal Know Your Customer laws to verify you are who you say you are. You'll also generally need a Social Security number, or an ITIN, and some cash for a minimum opening deposit. If you check all these boxes, you are squarely in the standard eligibility zone.
Section 3, your required document checklist. Now we're going to gather your physical and digital artifacts before you begin, just to avoid any of those frustrating delays. So the crucial point is getting this ultimate checklist sorted out early. You'll obviously need your ID, some proof of address, like a utility bill, or maybe your off-campus lease agreement, your tax ID, and your initial deposit funds. But please, do not overlook your phone number and email address. Banks rely heavily on these to verify your identity through two-factor authentication during the setup process. So treating your digital contact info as required documents ensures you won't miss a beat. Having all 6 of these ready to go is honestly the secret to a totally frictionless experience.
Section 4, the application process. With our checklist fully complete, it is time to actually execute.
Let's move to this process and see how it builds. The actual journey is highly sequential. First, you'll select your bank and the specific account type you want. Then, you complete the application either online or by walking into a physical branch. Next, you'll submit those ID and contact documents we just gathered and make that opening deposit. From there, it's out of your hands. The bank takes over to review and verify your application. Once you're approved, you cross the finish line. You receive your brand new debit card in the mail, and you can activate your online dashboard. As long as you follow these exact steps in order, you're on the absolute fastest route straight to financial access.
Section 5, rules for non-U.S. residents. Everything we just covered is the stand-in path, but if you're an international student or a temporary worker, the rules definitely shift.
You can see there's a pretty stark contrast here for non-U.S. residents. Without a standard Social Security number, you're going to face an extra layer of bureaucracy. You will absolutely need your passport, and you'll likely have to provide alternative verification documents to make up for the lack of a standard U.S. tax ID. And because of this extra paperwork, here's the real catch. You often can't just apply online. You might actually have to visit a physical branch in person to get everything verified by a banker.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is this specific quote from our source material. Each U.S. bank has its own eligibility rules. Non-U.S. residents may need additional verification. That first sentence is quite literally everything. There is absolutely no one-size-fits-all universal rulebook for non-residents in the U.S. banking system. While one bank might happily accept your passport and a university acceptance letter, a completely different bank right across the street might demand a much more extensive list of secondary IDs. It really pays to do your homework beforehand.
So, armed with your roadmap and your newly minted document checklist, the bureaucracy doesn't seem quite so impenetrable anymore, does it? The question now is, which bank's unique rules will you conquer first on your journey to financial access? Do your research, click through to the official bank links, and pick the institution that fits your specific needs. Before you go, drop a comment below letting us know which bank you prefer. And don't forget to subscribe for more Tier 1 personal finance tips.